What if a city so magnificent, so advanced, that it defied the understanding of its own time, simply vanished without a trace? A civilization whose very existence has haunted humanity for millennia, inspiring myths, legends, and relentless quests. The disappearance of the legendary city of Atlantis remains one of the most tantalizing mysteries ever whispered through the corridors of history. Did Atlantis truly exist? Or is it merely an allegory lost to the imagination of ancient philosophers? And if it did exist, what catastrophic events led to its sudden disappearance beneath the waves or into oblivion? Tonight, we delve into the enigma known as the vanished story of Atlantis, a tale shrouded in darkness and mystery, suspended between fact and fiction, where every clue drips with suspense, every hypothesis bristles with intrigue, and every discovery breathes new questions. This is not just a story about a lost city. It is a plunge into humanity's deepest fears and dreams, the fear of losing everything that we cherish, and the hope of finding a forgotten truth that could redefine who we are. Our journey begins over 2.5 millennia ago, in an era when the world was still young, dotted with fledgling civilizations and unexplored continents. Tales of Atlantis came to us from the ancient Greek philosopher Plato, who wrote of a powerful island kingdom that rose to greatness only to be swallowed by the sea in a single cataclysmic night. Yet history remains silent before and after his words. No definitive proof, no monumental ruins, no preserved artifacts, not a single undisputed shred of evidence to confirm Atlantis was anything more than an elaborate allegory, warning humanity against hubris. But the mystery refuses to fade. From ancient manuscripts and almost forgotten maps, to radar scans of ocean floors and sonar readings of submerged terrains, each century has brought new fragments of a puzzle so convoluted that the boundaries between myth and reality blur dangerously. Underneath these stories lies a haunting question: where did Atlantis go? And why does its story continue to captivate the human spirit, fueling countless expeditions into the unknown? Tonight, we walk the thin line between legend and archaeology science and speculation history and myth. We explore the social environment of Plato's time, a world gripped by grand tales of conquest and disaster, where the thirst for knowledge met the dread of natural cataclysms. Through this lens, Atlantis emerges as not only a lost city, but also a symbol, a mirror to humanity's sentiments, fears, and aspirations across ages. Join us now as we descend into the depths of one of history's greatest unsolved mysteries, the vanished city of Atlantis. A story painted with grandeur and terror, ignorance and enlightenment, awe and despair. A story without an ending. The story of Atlantis begins with a man, Plato, the philosopher whose writings would ignite centuries of fascination. Born in 427 BCE in the vibrant city-state of Athens, Plato was a figure of immense intellect. His life was steeped in the political turmoil and philosophical breakthroughs that characterized ancient Greece. With piercing eyes and a contemplative mind, he sought answers to fundamental questions about justice, existence, and society. Plato's dialogues, especially Timaeus and Critias, are the only ancient texts to describe Atlantis in detail. In these works, he paints a vivid picture of a powerful civilization that flourished roughly 9,000 years before his own time, an impossible antiquity given what we know of history. Yet through his voice, Atlantis emerges as a utopia, a land fertile and rich, with sprawling palaces constructed of gleaming marble surrounded by concentric rings of water and land. Its inhabitants were portrayed as noble, brave, and technologically advanced masters of engineering and war. This city was ruled by kings descended from the god Poseidon himself, their divine bloodline, a claim to unparalleled power. The Atlanteans developed grand temples and extensive irrigation systems, demonstrating a harmony between human innovation and nature. Their capital stood as a beacon of civilization in a chaotic ancient world, a city where order reigned and prosperity seemed endless. Yet this world was far from the Athens familiar to Plato's contemporaries, a bubbling city of democracy, philosophy, and political strife. Atlantis was distant in time and myth, a parallel reality that Plato introduced ostensibly as an allegory to caution Athens and all mankind against unchecked ambition and moral decay. It was a place where hubris invited divine wrath, and where the arrogance of power would ultimately precipitate downfall. In the wider setting, the Mediterranean Sea buzzed with commerce and conflict. Empires rose and fell, and the contours of human civilization were shifting. The era in which the story of Atlantis was first told was one of uncertainty. Natural disasters were common, and poorly understood myths and facts coexisted uneasily. The Greco-Persian Wars and Peloponnesian conflict shaped public consciousness, and the thirst for knowledge often wrestled with superstition. Thus, Atlantis was introduced amidst a social environment, fascinated by grand narratives of moral triumph and tragedy. It was both a reflection of human fears of destruction and a testament to the heights humanity might reach before succumbing to its own flaws. Among those who first heard the tale were Plato's peers and students who regarded the story with both reverence and skepticism. In recent centuries, researchers and explorers have immersed themselves in varied environments, from the sun-scorched plains of Andalusia in Spain to the wind-swept cliffs of the Azores, and from the submerged isles of the Mediterranean to the enigmatic depths of the Atlantic Ocean. Each location holds its own whispers and shadows, an attempt to bind a story woven tightly into the fabric of ancient history. The characters populating this expanse include explorers, archaeologists, scholars, and dreamers. People like Ignatius Donnelly, a 19th century writer who famously proposed that Atlantis was real and that it had influenced all ancient civilizations. Or Heinrich Schliemann, the archaeologist who sought legendary Troy and inspired similar quests for Atlantis. Even today, marine scientists and deep-sea explorers probe abyssal plains and continental shelves, hoping to stumble upon remnants of this vanished world. Yet no matter where one turns or who one asks, Atlantis remains elusive. Its citizens slumber beneath the waves, trapped in the annals of myth, their city concealed by layers of sediment and mystery. To understand the disappearance of Atlantis, we must journey to the moment the legend tells us it all unraveled. According to Plato's narrative, the Atlantean Empire, once radiant and powerful, fell victim to its own excesses, corruption, greed, and the betrayal of its founding principles. The gods, disillusioned by such hubris, chose to punish the city decisively. The catastrophe as described was swift and horrific. A night and day of earthquakes and floods brought devastation. In one terrifying instant, the island, its palaces, temples, and mighty fleets vanished beneath the roaring ocean. The earth swallowed it whole, leaving no survivors and no trace but the tale itself. But what could have caused such a disaster in reality? Was it a natural cataclysm? A volcanic eruption? A tsunami, or something else entirely? Over the years, theories have proliferated, each as gripping and confounding as the last. In examining Plato's story through the lens of ancient geography and geology, some have suggested that Mount Etna's eruption and the destruction of the Minoan civilization on Crete and Santorini could be linked to the Atlantis myth. That cataclysm, a massive volcanic explosion in the 2nd millennium BCE, followed by tsunamis, devastated the Aegean Sea region and its civilizations, possibly inspiring the legend. On another path, the submerged remains near the small Greek island of Thera offer tantalizing hints of a vanished society. The city, covered in volcanic ash similar to Pompeii, was lost to the sea for centuries, another real tragedy that might have blurred into the myth of Atlantis. Beyond the Mediterranean, some point to the endless Atlantic Ocean, its depths harboring unknown secrets. Theories connect Atlantis to the Azores Islands, above water remnants of a larger landmass, possibly engulfed by rising seas after the last ice age. Satellite imagery and sonar scans have revealed unusual underwater structures, sparking fervent debate between skeptics and enthusiasts. Days before the disappearance, as the myth suggests, the island was a vibrant and bustling center of life. The Atlanteans prepared their ships, traded with neighbors, and enacted rituals in grand temples. But subtle signs, minor tremors, changes in weather patterns described in ancient texts hint at an impending disaster. The last eyewitness accounts, passed down in fractured scraps, speak of a sky darkened as ash fell like snow of cities, trembling beneath ceaseless quakes, and seas swallowing entire coastlines. Survivors, if any, vanished into obscurity, their voices silenced by time. The immediacy of the catastrophe stirred confusion and despair among ancient peoples who heard the tale. Was this divine retribution a warning or a poorly understood natural phenomena? To this day, the mystery clouds any attempts to gather definitive evidence. Every new expedition seems to deepen the shadows rather than illuminate them. Human obsession with lost worlds is nothing new, and Atlantis has been the subject of endless searches and investigations across centuries. From the Renaissance to the modern age, explorers, treasure hunters, and scientists have launched expeditions fueled by ancient texts, local folklore, and emerging technology. In the 19th century, Ignatius Donnelly's book, Atlantis, the Antediluvian World, galvanized public imagination. He claimed Atlantis was the cradle of civilization, influencing Egypt, Greece, and Mesopotamia. His assertions inspired adventurers to scour the world for evidence, often chasing improbable leads. Over time, the search took many forms. Archaeologists examined ancient ruins from the Mediterranean to the Americas, probing connections between disparate cultures for Atlantean fingerprints. Geologists turned to seafloor mapping, using sonar to detect unusual underwater formations such as the Bimini Road in the Bahamas, stone structures some believed to be remnants of Atlantean architecture. Even satellites have been deployed to analyze terrain patterns from above, searching for sunken cities or unnatural land formations. Some believed these technologies unveiled ghostly outlines of cities submerged under shallow seas, sparking rounds of excitement followed by inevitable disappointment. In 1968, oceanographer Jacques Cousteau led a team into the Azores, intrigued by seismic activity and submerged plateaus. While their research unearthed fascinating geological anomalies, no clear link to Atlantis was ever proven. The media's role amplified the search, turning it into a cultural phenomenon. Documentaries, television programs, and books brought the mystery to a broad audience, intertwining scientific endeavors with sensational storytelling. The public fascination widened to include paranormal and conspiracy theorists who added layers of complexity to the narrative. Law enforcement and governments occasionally took interest, especially when illegal excavations or treasure hunts threatened protected underwater sites. Yet without concrete evidence, Atlantis remained beyond official recognition, often dismissed as myth by professional archaeologists. In local communities, especially in regions like the Mediterranean and the Atlantic Islands, folklore flourished, entwining Atlantis with ancient legends and religious beliefs. These stories, passed down through generations, kept the mystery vibrant, bridging the human need to connect past and present. In the end, the search has been both a testament to human curiosity and a reflection of our profound need for answers. Despite every effort, the vanished city remains undetected, a ghostly presence beneath the waves, testing the limits of our resolve. With no physical remains to authenticate, Atlantis speculation has filled the void. Theories abound, each proposing a different suspect, whether natural disaster, human error, or cosmic events as the cause for the city's demise. One popular theory identifies Atlantis with the Minoan civilization centered on Crete and Santorini. This culture flourished around 1600 BCE, but fell suddenly, possibly due to a volcanic eruption and tsunami. Archaeological evidence of destruction and abandonment supports this, but the geographic and chronological inconsistencies temper enthusiasm. Others place Atlantis further west, hypothesizing a sunken continent in the Atlantic Ocean, a vast landmass obliterated by rising sea levels after the last ice age. The Azores Islands are often cited as remnants. Some geologists suggest the mid-Atlantic ridge could have hosted a large island complex that collapsed catastrophically. But so far, no conclusive proof has emerged. Some fringe theories embrace more extraordinary explanations. A few posit that Atlantis was an advanced civilization with technologies lost after its destruction, its disappearance covered up by secretive organizations. Others speculate on extraterrestrial involvement, citing supposed advanced knowledge described by Plato. Conflicting testimonies from explorers and eyewitnesses, real or fabricated, weave a tangled web of confusion. Divergent accounts of strange undersea structures, unexplained artifacts, and even alleged contact with Atlantean survivors or their descendants muddle the waters further. Another angle considers ancient climate change and shifting tectonic plates as suspects. Rapid environmental transformations could have rendered the city uninhabitable, forcing abandonment and eventual submersion. Then there are those who argue Atlantis never existed at all. From this perspective, the tale was purely allegorical, Plato's warning against imperial hubris and moral collapse designed to provoke reflection rather than incite excavation. This theory points to a lack of corroborating texts or tangible evidence, casting Atlantis as a moral fable rather than a lost civilization. Rumors and conspiracy theories thrive in the absence of clarity. Some claim governments hide Atlantean findings to suppress dramatic shifts in history. Others suggest powerful families trace their lineage to Atlantis, guarding secrets across centuries. Each theory adds layers of complexity and doubt, making it nearly impossible to establish consensus. The truth remains obscured by a labyrinth of conflicting evidence and passionate claims. Every lead leads to another question. Every revelation casts shadows over previous assumptions. After centuries of searching, Atlantis continues to tantalize with sporadic breakthroughs, glimmers of hope flickering in the dark depths of uncertainty. In recent decades, advancements in technology have transformed underwater archaeology. The use of submersibles, deep-sea drones, and sophisticated sonar mapping has unveiled mysterious underwater formations and structures across the Atlantic and Mediterranean. One such revelation came from the Bimini Road, a linear underwater formation near the Bahamas, discovered in 1968. To some, it resembled a rebuilt road or seawall, possibly a fragment of an Atlantean city. However, geologists argued it was a natural beach rock formation. Yet the debate persists and fuels intrigue. More recently, satellite imaging detected enigmatic rectangular patterns on ocean floors, spurring new investigations. In the Mediterranean, underwater ruins near the island of Cyprus and off the coast of Spain have been uncovered dating back thousands of years, hinting at advanced ancient cultures submerged due to changing sea levels. In 2009, a team exploring the submerged city of Pavlopetri, off southern Greece, uncovered well-preserved ruins dating back over 5,000 years. Though not Atlantis, discoveries like these suggest the possibility that advanced prehistoric cities once flourished in now submerged regions. Perhaps most startling was the work done on the Canary Islands and the Azores regions steeped in volcanic activity. Some researchers propose that tsunami waves triggered by undersea earthquakes could have rapidly submerged Atlantean territories, erasing them from the map before civilizations could prepare. Despite these advances, no conclusive evidence of Atlantis, as Plato described it, has been found. Each breakthrough teases with shards of truth, but fails to coalesce into undeniable proof. This persistent ambiguity invites one last shocking twist. In late 2023, a group of underwater explorers discovered a previously undocumented complex of stone structures at a depth uncommon for human settlement. Preliminary carbon dating suggests they could date back close to the period Plato referenced. Satellite analysis reveals alignment consistent with Plato's geometrical description of Atlantis's concentric rings. The news sent ripples through the archaeological community, resurrecting hope and skepticism in equal measure. However, before a thorough investigation could commence, the lead researcher abruptly went silent, unreachable. Equipment was mysteriously damaged, and data encrypted without explanation. Subsequent dives are postponed indefinitely pending funding and permits. What lies beneath are these genuine remnants of the lost city or natural anomalies twisted by human hope? The silence of the sea holds its breath, as does the world. The tale of Atlantis is a river that flows through time, a current that carries mystery and marvel in equal parts. We began with a vivid image of a grand civilization beyond its time, majestic and tragic. Through Plato's words, the city arose from myth, a cautionary tale of power and destruction. The story's abrupt disappearance invites an endless search fueled by hope and haunted by uncertainty. Centuries of exploration have navigated tangled truths and imagined realities. From ancient, devastated islands to mysterious underwater formations, every fragment, every whisper resists final capture. The more we seek, the more elusive Atlantis becomes an echo, haunting the space between history and legend. But beyond archaeology and speculation, the story of Atlantis resonates on a deeper level. It probes human nature, our yearning to understand our origins, our fear of losing what we cherish, our fascination with what lies just out of reach. It reflects the fragility of civilization when faced with nature's fury and the consequences of ethical failings. Atlantis remains a mirror held up to humanity's soul, a question mark as persistent as the ocean tides. As we close this chapter, the vanished city remains submerged, not only beneath the waves, but also beneath the weight of mystery and imagination. Its ruins, whether real or imagined, challenge us to ponder our place in history and the fragile legacy we leave behind. Do vanished worlds ever truly disappear? Or do their stories linger in the depths of our consciousness, carving shadows where light yearns to reach the city of Atlantis, lost yet eternal waits silently beneath the waters, its secrets beckoning, its silence deafening? Will we ever uncover the truth? Or are some mysteries destined to vanish forever, echoing in the dark,